different outcomes that we can get it and what outcome that we would like to achieve.
Hey, Darshan, your audio is kind of breaking up. Can you maybe turn off video?
Sure. Thank you. So with Cisco DNA spaces, we can get an infinite outcomes. We can go ahead and get our basic network troubleshooting with Cisco DNA spaces. We can get our occupancy monitoring. We can have detect and locate. We can have temperature monitoring, our environmental monitoring with humidity included. We can have meeting room finder with the help of wayfinding. We will talk about it shortly. How can our 9100 can provide that information? It can provide an HVAC monitoring, asset management, and most important thing, how can we have an open roaming included, right? All that outcomes are possible with the Cisco DNA spaces. We have to just choose what's the right outcome that we would like to achieve. Let's move on. So as we have seen and talked about it, that we often go ahead and our customer have to go ahead and lock down into proprietary solution, which has limited reusability and rescalability. That is having a more cost to maintain and support. So that's where our Cisco DNA Spaces has been created to have that platform and have that middleware where our 9100 access point can act as an IoT gateway to provide that solution, to provide that different outcomes that we are looking forward to. So without any further ado, let's talk about high-level architecture. So our Catalyst 9800 wireless controllers are connected to our access points, our 9100 series, along with 2800, 3800 through CapNAP. And our wireless controller is connected with Cisco DNA spaces through netcom port or TDL. So netcom port is utilized to go ahead and push that configuration from spaces connector to our wireless controller. And TDL is required to have that information and telemetry to be shared. Our Cisco DNA Spaces connector share that information with the Cisco DNA Spaces cloud platform through HTTPS. And our partner application get all that information through Firehose API, or we can have a custom built-in application. We do not need to go ahead and sign up for an application just because we purchase IoT devices from marketplace. We can have a different outcome. We can build our own application. Important information, that telemetry data from our access point is being shared with Cisco DNA Spaces through gRPC. So APs use the port 8000 for gRPC, and wireless controller uses port 8004. So what is gRPC? It is an open source remote procedure call used to communicate BLE telemetry information and advanced BLE configuration messages. So netcom port used to push configuration from connector to 9800. This is good, right? And we would like to understand what other ports are there and how they are connected. Last but not the least is we have a dedicated BLE radio in our Catalyst 9100 access point that has been just designed to communicate with our sensors, tags, or beacons. In case of our XOR or previous generation access points, we will talk about it shortly. How can we use it and how can we use in a different mode? This is the overall picture about the ports that are being used between our APs, wireless controller, connector, and DNA Spaces cloud. Along with it provides the overall picture about what ports needs to be allowed. We also have our wired infrastructure, which can be used to go ahead and connect our wired IoT sensors to it. And our 9300 and 9400, how it can go ahead and host application, we'll talk about it. So this provides an overall architecture about the ports that if any changes that we would like to make in firewall, it provides what IP addresses along with what ports that we need to open. So we have said a few times that, hey, our 9100 can solve all problems. You do not need to go ahead and sign up for a proprietary solution or lock into it that has limited reusability, and it has not has the capability of scaling that well. Well, that's right. Our 9100 Cisco Catalyst access point can actually act as an IoT gateway, where we can have and install an iOS application. So in order to do that, we require an advanced mode, an advanced scanning mode that helps us to reduce overall cost and the maintenance cost, where our beacons can, our sensors, tags can directly communicate without additional IoT gateway. So that is great. 9100 can act as a gateway. But what about if we are just looking for a wayfinding solution? Is it possible to do it without any additional hardware? And answer is yes, it is possible. We do not need it. Additional hardware to be installed. In order to have that 2.5 meter accuracy or better, our 9100 access point can actually go ahead and broadcast an iBeacon. And if we want to go ahead, so in a native mode, we have the two options. Apart from scanning transmit mode, we can go ahead and use it in a scan mode as well. So once we configure in a scan mode, we can go into an advanced mode and install an application. So let's talk about, this is great, our 9800 wireless controllers, our 9100 Catalyst access points can act as an IoT gateway. Let's talk about the limitation code versions that are there and where and which access point models are capable of what doing what. So our 9800 wireless controller from 17.3.1 and above that can go ahead and provide an IoT services. So right now 17.3.4 is the recommended core version, and we have 17.6.1 available as well. iOS wireless controller is not supporting IoT services. That doesn't mean that it cannot support the other good part of it, like captive portals, location analytics, behavior, detect and locate. All that information can still continue to function with our iOS wireless controller, and it can provide that functionality. It will be more talked about it in our third session, which is on 19. We talked about our wired IoT solution, and we have 9300 and 9400 switch model that can support it. So DNA Spaces required DNA Spaces connector, and version is 2.3 and above. It comes with a 3 model with standard advanced 1 and advanced 2. The more details will be followed in our third session that talks about exactly more into an MSP, what other applications that you use it, and how you have the resource reservation on it. For IoT services, it does not have direct connect or CMX tethering supported. EWC, embedded wireless controller, is not supported on 9100 controller for IoT services. For 2800, 3800, it requires extra USB dongle for BLE functionality. 1815 do have built-in BLE for base BLE gateway. For 4800, it is recommended to use as a base BLE gateway as well. For all other functionality, we definitely recommend our 9100 Catalyst access points. On the top of that, we definitely recommend to go ahead and choose the right access point for you. 9130 is best of the class. So we talked about that, hey, what is our DNA spaces? We have a same. So we have created an entire ecosystem where we can go ahead and research and find our IoT device from our IoT device marketplace. And we can go ahead and see what our partner application is supported with it. So, and customers have more control over data. And customer can add, edit, or remove any application access at any time. All those IoT devices and application, they are already being pre-validated. You can get that out of the box experience right when you get with the starter kit. And we will talk about it, what is the starter kit to get that, hey, what outcome that we can provide, what information we can provide to our businesses. So in a campus environment, we have different areas and different outcomes that we can achieve. As the one and the foremost is asset management. And we will have our partner talk more about asset management in our next session. But let's talk about what other ways that we can use it. So in our typical campus environment is our important assets that we give it out on loan, or if we want to have it in our lab, where is it? We keep it. So with that asset management, we can keep a track of it because of their battery life of 4 years or better. There are asset tags that are out there. Room finding, that experience that we would like our visitors or employees or students that they can achieve with the help of it, and how we can configure beacons. And we will show that shortly about a beacon configuration and what additional information it can provide. Employee safety, which is the most important part of it, how the smart badge can be used, or how the nano badge can be used for a certain event or session that you can schedule. Environmental monitoring. There are environmental sensors are out there, which we can place it in our lab and can continue to monitor it so that and integrate with our HVAC team so that we can get that temperature monitoring right away and provide that right information for a team responsible for it. Space utilization, a right decision of the retail footprint and presence. All that good information is we can get it through our space utilization. Sensors are out there, and we can have beacons to provide that as well. Work in progress tracking, what IoT devices that can be used as well. Without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about a certain space occupancy point of view. What does the space occupancy can do? What we can do to improve our experience for our employees. So IBM TriRiga is one of our partner application that provides our utilization and occupancy monitoring. And as you can see, there are different tags that are out there, beacons are out there, and sensors out there that provides different information and different outcome. It all depends upon what we would like to achieve out of it. Or we have a partner pointer that provides indoor navigation. IBM TriRiga is one of our partner application that delivers the occupancy monitoring. It provides us a great detail of information about organization or provides us the information what areas that is being used. It can help us to make a decision when to schedule our maintenance or cleaning staff to be scheduled according to that. Or it can help us with the food services. It can help us to make decision about what's the right size of retail space that we should lease. On top of that, it uses the machine learning and artificial to go ahead and flag a pattern that if there is all of a sudden anomalous occupancies there, it can go ahead and trigger that. It is the natively integration with the Cisco DNA spaces and Cisco Wireless. So as we can see over here, there has been triggered an anomaly compared to there were 50 was on average, while all of a sudden we saw 450. It provides that trigger. And that helps us to go ahead and take a look into smart sensors or beacons that can be used, that can be provided or can be put into an individual chair to understand, is that actually our space being utilized? Is it actually the overall area being used, right? And what if we have typical there an open office space concept? People like to go ahead and choose a window desk, right? Can we go ahead and group them together, those sensors? And can we monitor it? Yes, it is possible. And can we gather that information when we walk in and get that information out of it? It is possible. And that will encourage our people to come back to office on Friday more often, that they can get a window desk and get the best workout. So BLE deployment best practices for asset tracking and BLE location. We use a 65 dBm at 1 meter accuracy or better. That is our recommendation. For environmental safety, we recommend to use 72 dBm or better. Indoor wayfinding, we recommend to have one beacon every 1900 or 2100 square feet. Frequencies often continue to have the default. An iBeacon for wayfinding is needed along with the mobile application. We talked about Firehose API, right? And Firehose API takes a BLE events and telemetry data to our partner application or a custom built-in application that we have it and provides exactly that information that we needed, right? And it helps us to take the right action on it that we might not need what our partner application is providing. We just need a custom built-in application for our own use. Wired IoT unifies its visibility. So as we know that there are sensors on the wireless that can connect through our access point, which acts as an IoT gateway. Is there a solution for a wire? Because we will not like to be bothered with battery, even though there are 4 years or 8-hour batteries are available. We are more confident, or our business just want it to be a wired sensors. Is there a way we can host that iOS application on any of the switches? Yes, let's talk about it. So as we talked about it, our iOS application, gRPC, netconf port is used to push that configuration. Telemetry TTL port is used for sharing that telemetry data. And as we can see that it can communicate similarly between Cisco DNA Spaces connector to Cisco DNA Spaces cloud platform. And from there, Firehose API is used for our partner application. So what switches are there and what switches support this iOS application that we can host it on a container? It requires, so it is 9300 switch and 9300L along with 9400. It requires DNA Advantage or DNA Premier and netconf port to push that configuration on top of it. So this shows where we can host an application on our 9K platform and how overall application framework and how our IoT gateway app sits into the container of Cisco iOS kernel. So no battery replacement, and it provides all other information that we were looking for through wireless IoT sensors, through space occupancy and smart building solution for wire temperature, humidity, PIR, and ambient light. So without further ado, we talked about more about, hey, we can have this. Let's jump right into it. to understand how do we set up or what do we need to go ahead and look to get started on it. So we will go ahead and talk about it very briefly about how do we set up in the terms of the configurations are required. And on the top of it, we will focus more on IoT devices that we can go ahead and look into IoT device marketplace and what are the different outcomes that we achieve it. So in a typical setup for our wireless network, we would like to understand this provides us the configuration steps for both 9800 wireless controller and our ROS wireless controllers as well. On top of that, the system requirements provides us the information on DNA Spaces connector, which will be covered more details in third session. It comes in a 3 different OBA form, a standard, advanced 1, and advanced 2, and which is the right for you to get started. So under view connectors, it provides the information about what is the name of our DNA Spaces connector, how many controllers and APs that are being connected, and we can see over the status. Moving on to, let's see how many controllers are connected to it. And we will also talk more into how many DNA spaces or how many controllers are typically allowed to connect to one Cisco DNA Spaces. That is just based on the number, but it all depends upon your NMSP messages and the type of applications that you are going to use. That will be talked more into our third session on 19th. As we can see, our controller is connected over here, number of APs are there, and last modified, right? That covers the information about controllers, our connector. We have already talked about location hierarchy. Why is it important? And in our third session, we will also talk about how can we integrate our Cisco DNA Center with Cisco DNA Spaces and how it can help us to find interferers, rogue access points, detect and locate all that good information. And that will help why location hierarchy is important. Now let's jump on to the most important part, our IoT devices and IoT services. So under IoT services, device management, so we would like to understand where are our access points. And our access points, which acts as an IoT gateways, we would like to go ahead and onboard it, right? And what is the way we can go ahead and onboard it? Add an access point gate through BLE gateway. In our situation, we have already went ahead and processed the stats. It is just simple as BLE gateway and then choose our access point and accept it based on the building that we would like to do it or a campus. Once we go ahead and see that, we will be able to see them in AP gateways. That, okay, we are able to see that there are 2 APs that has been activated, it has been configured and available. So we talked about in a native mode, our AP can go ahead and have scan mode or transmit mode. So how can we decide and configure it? So going back into device management and selecting under devices, AP beacons, and we can see that we can go ahead and select an access point under action, manage BLE, enable BLE, and after that, manage profile, it's where we can go ahead and provide that information, whether we would like our access point to go ahead and scan or transmit. It can only do one of it, not both on a single access point. So in our transmit profile, we can use it for, as we talked about, for wayfinding. But if we want to have more granular wayfinding information, it is recommended to have an additional beacons to be deployed to have an accuracy of 1 meter or more. And that will be talked more about it. What are the different types of beacons that are out there and how portal beacon can be used for a room level accuracy. So under scan mode or transmit mode, and we have configured it as a scan mode over here. So as we can see now, so we talked about scan mode or transmit mode. Now we would like to go ahead and host an application that we talked about it, right? Or how to go ahead and application install. So let's go ahead and talk about application install and how to move it into an advanced mode where it has the capability to install an application. So under AP Gateway, we will go ahead, select it under Action, Manage iOS App, and Install iOS App. Over here, we can go ahead and download that Cisco DNA Spaces BLE Management app. And we can get that information over here, that what's the name of AP, IP address, wireless controller. But not only that, the most important point that we would like to see is BLE mode. So this is BLE mode. It is under the scan mode, and we have that advanced mode because we have that installed iOS application on it. But not only that, it does provide us what is capable of. Like it is an iOS app channel last heard. On top of it, it is iOS capable, BLE capable, and USB capable, along with ZigBee capable. So with our next core version, 17.7, we will have ZigBee compatibility and we can use it. We got our access point, we have it under advanced mode, but what about our external asset tags or beacons? Let's talk about beacons, right? And understand that where we can go ahead and find it, where we can go ahead and have that information. So under IoT services, device management, we will go ahead and onboard devices. So once we go ahead, look into IoT device marketplace, find that this is the right, and place an order, we can onboard those devices from floor beacons. And this is just for the beacons point of view. We can go ahead, onboard our beacons, and enter that order ID to claim our beacons. In our example, we have completed this step. So now talk about how to configure beacon, right? And think about from that point of view that we have just one beacon and two sensors over here. But what if in a typical campus environment, we would like to deploy 5,000 beacons, right? Or 5,000 sensors or tags that have been deployed. How can we configure it? That is the most difficult part of it. Actually, it's not. Configuration has been made simple. We can go ahead and do the bulk edit of it. And we can go ahead and select it and click bulk edit to make configuration changes in order to go ahead and provide all the information that is necessary. So that provides us the information that how easy it is. You do not have to go through, walk down at each beacon at each location and how to configure it. You have to just have that information and go ahead and bulk edit and configure all of them. And it starts providing the information that you are looking for. So let's take a look into this particular beacon that we can configure. We have just kept it name. And as we know that Eddystone, it provides a unique identifier, URL, and TLM. It is an open source. It means it can be used for both iOS along with Android devices. And telemetry is used to share that information constantly. So we got this, there is an instance ID 4577. Let's go back and verify it. This is our beacon, and we can see Eddystone unique ID 4577 is there. So it provides TLM, URL information, and all that information can be shared through Varo's API on partner application. But what information does it provide? What sensor information that we are going to get out of it? Of course, it is beacon, and we need its location information. But on top of that, it provides you the information about the battery life. So when the battery, you can remotely monitor it all of them. So if there are any changes you need to upgrade or you need to change those batteries or replace it, that can be done remotely. And in the terms of going ahead and scheduling it remotely and changing it. It provides us the information along with that when was the last movement was there. For this beacon, which is on my personal chair, typically I have been standing for more than 2 hours. So that's the reason it is not showing that movement. Otherwise, it provides the additional information that, hey, how long that I'm not at my desk, or how long I've been not sitting at my chair. So that good information apart from location can be achieved. So this is a good sensor for my usage, right? But what if we would like to have a different use case? What if we would like to understand a different out case for employee safety that we would like to provide? Or we would like to make sure that our students remain safe. If they have anything, they can go ahead and provide us and reach us so that we can go ahead and reach out to them. Let's go ahead and take a look into Cisco DNA spaces and IoT device marketplace. So under IoT device marketplace, we can see that there are different outcomes that are out there: space occupancy, IT asset management. And as per the use case scenario, we have indoor wayfinding or store behavior or temperature monitoring. Let's go ahead and visit the marketplace and see what we can find. Under workspace, the first and the most important part that we would like to see is employee safety. Is there an IoT device that is available? I think I can see one. Yes, actually more than one. There are different applications that are out there. But I'm interested in the smart badge that we can hand it over to our students or employees or even visitors so that we gather the information especially useful during evacuation. If we have emergency alerts or sound alarms are running out, and if a person is wearing a headphone working in a loud library in the terms of where we can have rack and space, we have IDFs or MDFs that they are working, right? What if they are working there and they could not hear us? How our emergency team can reach out and say that, hey, let's go ahead, get out. So we can gather that information about where our visitors are moving. On the top of that, the most important part, space occupancy and space utilization analytics, that we can get that information from that. So that is good. The smart batch provides a lot of, and it's the perfect use case for my scenario. That's good, right? But I would like to go ahead and understand on top of that, IT asset management. How can I keep my important assets safe and I can track them when needed, right? That's where we have some of the other asset tags, but looks like this one is stand out because it has 8 years, the capability of battery life, and it provides us the information, right? It is an IT asset management. I can go ahead, put it in. So when if somebody forgets to return their loan, we will know exactly where that piece is or IT asset is. so that we can go ahead and track it. Or if it's in our lab or MDF, important infrastructure hardware, we can go ahead and find it. This is good. What else that we can do? Okay, let's take a look into education, right? There are different outcomes are there, like attendance tracking that can be done. But I'm interested to know more about indoor wayfinding. How we talked about beacons, but what it can do, right? It can help us to go ahead and wayfinding information. In the terms of our access points can help you to get information with 2.5 meter or better accuracy. But what if you would like even a better accuracy in an environment? And that's where our beacons can be used. It provides the proximity notification as well. So before we get there and indoor wayfinding, let's talk about environmental monitoring, right? We would like to make sure our MDFs or IDFs, we maintain certain temperature for our infrastructure, or we need certain areas that we require that information to be shared. This is a perfect place that we can provide. And we have looked into one of it and try to understand, okay, this is the right IoT device, but can you provide me what other devices are out there and compatible partner app? So I'm interested in that device, but provide me information that what are partner application that can function with it. So by choosing that, it provides you that information. And from what else that we can do, right? Go back to workspace environment, apply or cancel it. And we can go ahead and understand asset management. Looking into this, it's like a lot of outcomes are that, and it might be overwhelming. So is there a better way we can get started? Yes. Based on it, we can understand that here is our starter kit that has been provided with right information. For example, this is for an asset management starter kit that includes beacon, tag, and it provides the prerequisite about controller code version, what type of controllers that are supported, and 9100 Catalyst access point and 9800 wireless controller, along with what type of account should be there. If you need more information, here is how you can go ahead and sign up from dnaspaces.cisco.com and requires an ACT license. If you just want to go ahead and learn more about it, don't forget to reach out to your account team to gather more information. And this is not enough. It has a starter kit for a lot of different outcomes. As we talked about it, we have different information and order a starter kit right away. Like education starter kit, we have it. What information it can provide. It includes a temperature and humidity sensor, beacon, and a tag. On top of it, we would like to understand workspace starter kit, what different outcomes can be achieved. And here is the perfect sensor, tag, beacon, presence, along with other tag, which is the right one to choose. You can go ahead and run a proof of concept, or you can reach out to your account team if you would like to go ahead and engage one of us and gather more information, provide better recommendation with your design. We would love to do it. With that being said, don't forget to sign up of our upcoming sessions that are shown over here on 12th, 19th, 26th, and November 9th and 18th, and December 2nd. If you want to gather more recordings and registration and slides, go ahead and sign up for that. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time today, and we'll look forward to working with you more. Thanks.
Thanks, Darshan. Great content. Just another reminder out there for everybody, if you can fill out the surveys you'll receive tomorrow. and reach out with any questions. Thanks all.